everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you'd like. Today I have for you a chatty little sit-down video just about life and writing projects and all sorts of stuff. I do have a script for this video, and by that I mean I have a handful of bullet points for things that I want to talk about, but I am a very rambly person. So be prepared for this to go long. I genuinely have no idea how long this video is going to end up being, so bear with me. But I have had this topic on my mind for a little while now, and I figured I'll just make a little video about it so we can have a conversation, maybe. It's something I've wanted to chat about, so here we are. So one thing about me is that I have a lot of story ideas and writing projects. And when I say a lot, I mean like over 100 books worth. Like way too many to ever write in my lifetime type of numbers. So sometimes I will talk about a project idea for weeks at a time and be diligently working on it, and other times I will talk about it once and then never bring it up again. This is because these projects are very loosely named. Like sometimes it is a more fully fledged idea, like this is a plot arc that I want to explore. Other times it's just like, this would be a really cool gimmick, or I would like to write this type of character at some point, but they don't really have an actual story. They're just like a little spark of an idea. So I'm always thinking about a million different projects at the same time, and maybe that's a detriment to me, but it's always been how I've worked, and it's just how things go for me. So because I have so many project ideas, I'm kind of constantly hopping between them and also working on multiple at once. Like right now I have two main projects and one that I was working on but I'm kind of falling out with right now, and not in like a bad way, just that it's a very wintry project and we are going into spring, so I'm no longer feeling the vibes to work on it. And that's fine. I am perfectly okay with working on project for a little bit and then moving to something new and then moving to something new and going back to old projects at random times. Like that's genuinely just how I work, and I know not everyone works that way, but I do, and it is very integral to the way things have been for me lately that I work on a lot of projects. So basically, at the end of last year, like maybe late October through November into December, I was experiencing major burnout, and not really as a writer, but kind of just in general, like a life burnout. I was feeling very worn down and not in my creativity, just not great vibes all around. And because of that, I was starting to not feel great about my writing projects because it was hard to motivate myself to work on them. And even if I was still like having a very good time creatively, if I was having a bad time in every other area of my life, I still associate those feelings with the writing projects I was working on. So last year in the fall, I was working on quite a few projects, and I talked about them a lot. They were Roll for Romance, which is a contemporary romance series involving a friend group that plays Dungeons and Dragons, or Fairies and Fortresses is what I called it, because you gotta scrub off the serial numbers, but basically there was 5 books, one for each member of the group, and my grand plan was to do really quick first drafts of all of them over the course of the last few months of the year. That didn't happen. I didn't even finish the first one. I abandoned it about 60 to 70% of the way through. I was also working on my cowboy book that doesn't actually have cowboys. It was a sapphic supernatural western novel, if you want to actually get into what it is. And that was a project that I worked on all throughout the summer. I did a draft of it, and then I edited that draft, and then I sent it off to friends, and then I edited the draft again, and then I sent it off to another friend to read, and I have not read that second set of feedback. Manook, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry that your feedback has just been sitting in my inbox, but I was just having such a rough time of it that I had to shelve those projects, and it really hurts because I'm in love with those projects, those characters, those stories. And also, I know a lot of other people were so excited to hear me talk about those projects, and they were excited for me to work on it so that they could one day read it. And so it just kind of is a double whammy there where everyone all around is not suffering, that feels a little bit dramatic, but like disappointed that I put those to the side. So one thing that I do want to make clear is my definition of shelving a project. I know for a lot of people, shelving means putting it to the side with no intention to work on it again. For me, that's not the case. When I say I'm shelving a project, I mean like I'm putting it on a shelf with no clear date on when I want to pick it back up, but it is still something I want to work on. If I was going to not work on a project again, I would say I'm abandoning it. So when I say I'm shelving a project, it just means I have no intention of getting to it anytime soon, but I do still want to return to this project and continue working on it and continue making progress. So these projects are not completely abandoned, but I don't have any clear idea in my head of when I will go back to continue working on them. It could be one day I wake up and I'm like, wow, I really want to work on my cowboy book, and so I get to it. It could be that I don't touch it for a couple of years. There are definitely projects that I worked on several years ago that I still think of very regularly, and they were shelved, and I have not touched them yet. But I do still think about them, and I do still want to get back to them. It's just that I have so many writing projects that for me, it's just easiest if I put aside projects that aren't working or take a little more effort, like maybe I have to do a big research binge to figure something out in the project, or like last year, I associate them with kind of a rough time in my life, so I don't want to work on them until I'm able to separate those feelings from the project. While those are sitting off to the side, I have plenty of other projects that are easier to get to and easier to work on. So it kind of works in my favor that way, that I have a million and one projects running around in my brain at all times. So all that being said, I am sorry if you've heard me talk about a project that you were extremely excited for, only for me to say that I'm shelving it or to just randomly stop talking about it altogether with no clear indication of what's happened to it. I'm just very much a mood writer, and if I'm not in the mood to write something, I'm not going to write it. That's just kind of the case. And because I've had such a rough time of it in recent months, and this new year I've been taking it really slow, I'm being a lot more cautious and careful, might be the words to use. Like, I'm easing into things, and the second something isn't working for me, I'm not going to continue working on it. Like, for example, my very wintry book that for a couple of weeks there I was so excited to work on, the second I decided, like, no, it's not the time for a wintry book, I put it to the side, and that's perfectly fine. I don't feel bad putting projects to the side, but I feel bad for maybe disappointing people, because I do talk about my writing a lot on this channel. That's half of the main focus of this channel is my writing projects, and I do really love the community aspect of talking about it with other people, hearing what they think of it, and also the reverse, hearing about other people's writing projects and giving my opinions on it, and talking about how excited I am to hear them work on them. I don't want to disappoint people, but at the same time, it's not going to be great for anybody if I try and force myself through a project that just isn't working for one reason or another, and so for that reason I have to hop projects. Not often. I'm trying to be better about it and not like work on a project for a week and then, ooh, shiny new plot bunny idea and make a million new projects. I'm trying to focus on the ones that have, substance to them, something I've worked on before. If I've outlined it, gotten a first draft, gotten a second, third draft done of it, like I want to return to those more than I want to create new projects. And I'm doing an okay job of that so far this year. We are in March now, and I've spent most of this year working on one main focus, one project. I'm currently working on the second draft of my project Salvation, which is a new adult queer religious horror book, and I am hoping to finish up the second draft in March and then take a little break from it, because 3 months working on one project is a little bit much for me. But I have been very good at focusing on that and not burning myself out on it. And I've also started a new project, but it's not entirely new. The like main premise of it is new, but I have been what I call looting the bodies of other older projects that just aren't going to happen. So it's it's kind of new, kind of not new. It's fine, but I've been having a lot of fun with that lately and like brainstorming it and creating characters. So I'm getting back into enjoying writing on like a larger scale, which is fantastic because the end of last year was not great. But yeah, if you really want me to work on one project, tell me about it. And there's no guarantees I'll work on it, but at the very least, I would love to talk about my project with you, even if it's one that I haven't talked about on my channel in years. For example, Dragons No Dragons was a project I worked on in, I want to say, 2022 and have not touched since. So it's been several years, but it's still something that I think about regularly and something that some friends have brought up in recent times and been like, hey, this is a really cool idea you had. And I'm like, you know what, you're right. And I do think about it and I do want to go back to it at some point, but I just have other priorities. So I'm definitely open to talking about projects that I've shelved or projects that I've put away for a little while. Just bring it up and we can have a fun little chat. And if it is something that I don't want to talk about, I'll let you know. That's kind of all that I wanted to say in this video. Like I said, I had some bullet points, but kind of just let myself ramble. So hopefully this all made sense. If there's anything in this video that you want to, continue having a conversation about, definitely comment down below and we can keep this going. But for now, I have come to the end of the video, and if you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!